Stalker 2. It's honestly amazing that it even exists. Absolutely tremendous success on the Steam launch, and people overall are saying that it's good. People are liking it. But on the flip side, people are also saying that it's like Cyberpunk 2077 because it's the most buggy mess ever seen in human history. Let's see.
I want to talk about Stalker 2 for a minute because this is a game that is miraculous in its existence. Frankly, I'm shocked that this game came out at all, given the state that it was made in. For those who don't know, the development studio behind this game is GSC Game World, and they are based in Ukraine, or were at least, until the war started, with Russia coming in, invading the country, and that obviously put a huge damper on the game development process, but also on the lives of these developers who've had to make significant adjustments in order to complete this game. So this is an extraordinary circumstance for a video game. They call it the war game in this documentary where they talk about the making of Stalker 2. And you can see kind of what they went through, the evacuations, the fact.
Yes, I'm sure it was hard. I'm sure it was painful and stressful and whatnot. But Young, we're here about the game, honestly, not politics.
Some of the developers actually fought in the war, and all of the ways that they try to help their own country, and then those who fled, the kinds of adjustments that they had to make, and all of the concerns and worries and dangers that they had to face as they continued the development process of this ambitious title. And now that the game is finally out, it's just really cool to see the success that it has seen. It is by no means a perfect game. I have been playing it myself. I've played a few hours of it. And what I love about it already is that it does capture that Stalker essence. I have really fond memories of playing Shadow of Chernobyl. I remember playing through it vanilla and then realizing that you could just mod the hell out of the game, and that the modding community of it was just so, expansive. And once I delved into the modding aspect of the title, this game just it really became ingrained in my mind as one of the most engrossing experiences I've ever had. And Stalker.
Yep, Stalker does have modding, that is true, and it's pretty decent.
2 really harkens back to that, while I'm sure we're going to have to wait some time before we see the mods kick in. The modernization that they've done to Stalker, while retaining that atmosphere and the constant sense of tension, where every combat encounter can be lethal with the slightest wrong move, if you're just the slightest bit careless, because every shot deals so much damage and you have to be so just attentive about everything. But alongside that, you've got the fact that if you strategize well and if you pull off headshots and everything, you can kill enemies very swiftly if your aim is true and your tactics are right. And just the atmosphere.
He just said, if you don't suck at the game, you're not gonna get killed. What deep, thoughtful, and majestic insight right there. Woo!
The world is so beautiful and haunting, and all the cool weather effects and the anomalies, and it is just really it's that post-apocalyptic kind of world, but in a very kind of uniquely identifiable way that only Stalker can approach this genre. All of that, I think, is really well captured, with the only major flaw really being that there's just a lot of technical issues surrounding the game. Some people have experienced game-breaking bugs, and others are just experiencing performance issues. For my part, mainly I've been experiencing performance issues and some visual bugs and glitches here and there, as far as
Huh, that looks pretty interesting. Admittedly, hey, if you played the first Stalker, yeah, you're not exactly not uncomfortable with glitches and whatnot. So, I guess people are gonna forgive Stalker 2 for being buggy and whatnot, because, that's just how it has always been. Not that that's honestly an excuse, and hopefully the bugs do get fixed and whatnot, but it is kind of hilarious.
Lighting is concerned, and sometimes the seams of walls, you can see they're not meshed together properly, so you see through the game world a little bit. So there's things like that that kind of take me out, and I do think this game could have used more time to cook, but I think eventually this game will be in a prime state for everyone to try out and really enjoy this specific type of first-person.
Say what you will, but they do nail the atmosphere pretty good, as you can see. Stalker somehow is, like, unique in its atmosphere, and a lot of games have tried similar things, but this is just distinct.
Shooting open world post-apocalyptic survival experience. And, you know, to be fair to the devs, again, they made this game during a war, and it's cool to see that they came out on the other side with some semblance of success. It's actually great to see the Steam numbers right now. Going to Steam charts, you can already see that there are tens of thousands of players playing right now as of the recording of this video. But the 24-hour peak on the
Oh boy, it's not dropping. Well, it does make sense, especially, I guess, today, considering it's weekday. So this potentially should be even higher. Yeah, 100k for something like Stalker is great success, absolutely. And this is just what you get when you make an actually good game. Very strange that Stalker 2 is having success, right? It has no trans people in it. Or, you know, no confusion which bathroom to use. Very, very strange how these things correlate.
All-time peak concurrent players at this stage, you can see that it actually, for the second consecutive day, it went up. It went from roughly 113,000 players to 117,000 players. So the retention surrounding this game and the word of mouth surrounding this game and how that's spreading, all that's looking really positive right now. And just to give you some idea, these are numbers that are roughly a third of Starfield's, which sold like over 10 million copies.
Sold 10 million copies is a very strong word, but most people played it for free.
Stalker 2 has definitely sold a few million copies, and while I don't know what
it most likely has sold a minimum of 1 million copies. Probably 2 million is a decent expectancy, because I feel that Stalker is definitely one of those games that people are going to buy, but they're not going to just jump in instantaneously. So, yeah.
Expectations are surrounding what would make this game a quote-unquote success. A couple million copies sold for, you know, what is sort of a niche video game IP that is competing with, you know, some major AAA competitors out there. Seeing numbers like these that are very competitive for a...
Oh, wow. It actually hasn't... it's the same peak. I just checked SteamDB. Now now they are currently playing 100k people instantaneously, but it's pretty much the same all-time peak in 2 days. Just kind of insane because, you know, it is Saturday. I thought they're going to kind of exceed it, but, well, maybe they're going to exceed it tomorrow. And it's, well, currently it's just early Saturday. The US is not even up yet. So there is a good chance they will exceed 120k concurrent players, which will be awesome.
A single-player AAA game just highlights that I think this game will, you know, make its money back and then some. And just to give you some idea as to why these numbers actually look really positive, something like Dragon Age Veilguard, Dragon Age being a pretty, you know, well-known IP from BioWare, that game actually had less all-time peak concurrent players than Stalker 2 did. Of Dragon Age Veilguard peaked at 89,418 players, and there's...
Yeah, and currently the word on the street is that it has roughly sold 800 to 900,000 copies. So Stalker definitely has already most likely exceeded the 1 million mark. Potentially, again, there is a chance that they have already sold 2 million copies. It's slim-ish, but there is potential to that. Because, again, Stalker is something that people are going to buy but not play instantaneously. Because that's kind of what you do with Stalker. It's something that you play time to time.
There's still tens of thousands of players coming back, so the engagement on this game is high, but Stalker 2 is seeing higher engagement than...
Guys, the engagement on Dragon Age the Veilguard is high. That's what they told me to say. Actually, these two games are almost the same. Stalker is almost as good as... Shut the fuck up, Young.
IP that's more well-known from a bigger company like EA and BioWare. So this is actually, I think, just a resounding, like, coming out at the end of the road of hell to see the light and to see their game come out. And a lot of folks are celebrating it and are understanding of the circumstances that the developers made this game in. Generally, the users
Bro, listen, no one currently playing this cares about, honestly, all of this political stuff, okay? If you want to talk politics, that's fine. But we're currently kind of talking about the game, and I'm not going to play this game and be like, well, I'm going to add 2 extra points in it because real world circumstances. No, no, I'm not going to do that, and neither will a lot of people. Sad, but, it is what it is.
Score surrounding this game has been really positive. You can see that there are tons of reviews, and an 80% score for a game that is sort of technically not in the best state. A lot of people.
The fact that it's only an 80% score, by the way, does tell you that there are a lot of bugs. Because the Stalker fan base is obviously going to go into this and instantaneously be like, I love it! Click like. I'm going to buy it on the second account and click like also yet again. So the fact that it's actually not like at 90-ish% or close to it means that a lot of people are trying this and the bugs are making an impact, obviously. But they will fix them. They should, at least, with how much success there is currently in this game. So it's going to happen. It's going to be better. But man, the bug compilations... some wild stuff.
Are highlighting the technical issues, but also are just so happy with how good the Stalker experience ended up translating into this sort of more modern take on this series with Stalker 2, where it really does feel like the successor, where there's just so many improvements that were made, and it still retains that Stalker identity, that Stalker soul, that Stalker spirit. And so, yeah, the complaints really are mainly technical. The game itself, you can see the amount of heart and love and the identity and the vision for it was just so strong. If they only weren't, essentially marred by the...
Hey, you can tell this is pretty good considering he emptied half his mag into an already dead thing.
War circumstances, I feel like they could have probably had a better outcome on a technical level. On Metacritic, while the Metascore isn't as high as we would have liked this game to be, the reason the score is so low, a lot of it really has to do with the technical issues that mar this game, I think.
Oh, good reviewers, odd opinions. No, they don't. You're gaming critics. Your opinions don't matter. You just like to smell your own farts, and the fact that there are no trans options in this game probably lowers the score to IGN to a solid 5, because, if it's AAA, it must be a 7 or plus, but everything else is just 5 trash. I want to see how much IGN gave Stalker. Okay, let's check. Stalker 2 IGN score. Let's see, baby. IGN scored it an 8 out of 8.2. Wow, that is insane for IGN. What the hell? Well, that's actually pretty fair. What happened? Was IGN on like some kind of medicine when they did this, or what's happening? That's insane that IGN would give something like this not a 5 out of 10.
I think a lot of reviewers were right to give it a lower score for the launch date. I think it's, while obviously the game was made in very strenuous circumstances, it doesn't change the fact that ultimately they are selling a product that consumers will buy. And so despite the arduous situation that they had to work this game under, it does.
And by the way, yes, this is all self-understandable, by the way, that people are buying this despite the bugs. Again, some people are literally comparing it to Cyberpunk 2077's launch. Now, it depends, because some people are going to experience more bugs than others. It's kind of like a throw of the dice, honestly, in these situations. But, as Dragon's Dogma 2 taught us, people don't give a shit as long as it's a good game. Again, Dragon's Dogma 2 launches 10 FPS in a city. Don't care! Amazing game, still very fun. 10 out of 10. Don't care that the FPS is 10 in cities. Just gonna get through it and it's all gonna be fine, okay? And this is the same with Stalker 2. Maybe it's buggy, maybe there are some issues, but who cares as long as it's fun? And that's the spirit that should always be enforced. doesn't matter as long as it's fun, unless you abuse the fact that you can get away with bugs. And I don't think this is the situation, so everyone should be kind of happy for the most part, I feel.
Doesn't change the fact that those technical issues are worth.
But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Stalker 2 in a month if they don't fix the bugs. How much will the Steam score get affected by that? Because, game launches, yeah, it has bugs, maybe it's close to Cyberpunk 2077 disaster. Maybe it happens. But as long as you fix the bugs, it's fine. But if a month passes and they don't fix anything, then people are going to get pissed. Oh yes, that happens.
Worth pointing out and worth letting people know that, hey, maybe it's actually better to wait a little bit for some patches to come out. And so a lot of reviewers did have all of that reflect the score. But that aside, there's a lot of enjoyment to be found here in terms of the kind of game that this is and who it's meant to appeal to. It's a very hardcore, very difficult, very punishing, but at the same time, if you come out on the other side of the challenges that it presents, very rewarding experience. And so the fact that that element is like really there at its core of this game has allowed many people to overlook the technical issues. And so we're seeing some generally favorable scores, 7.8 on Metacritic, 80% on Steam. So for a game that is in such a rough technical state, that's actually really impressive to see users kind of ultimately still give it a really positive score. And I really do think there's nothing quite like Stalker. You play something like Fallout and it feels like...
Oh yeah, Fallout is definitely not the same. Admittedly, I will say this, Fallout 4 on the no save mode or hardcore survival mode is at least almost a comparable experience, and the fact that you do take precaution and things like that when you do things, obviously way less than here, but at least you have something to compare it slightly.
The more mass market appeal version of the post-apocalyptic open world fantasy. Stalker feels like the more grounded version of that, where you really feel all of the dangers associated with living in a world like that. It just feels like everything's a lot more grounded, from the survival elements to just how easy it is for you to die out there if you're not careful, to just how sparse resources actually can feel, to how terrifying all of the mutations and creatures and all these things.
Oh my god, look at this. Look at the puddles. Oh, finally, we have some actually real-life-esque puddles. Not that every surface that's getting vibrated and whatnot is reflecting. Dude, how does this studio get reflections in water surface, right? And in general, when no one else can? It's a miracle.
Out there can be, because they can really come at you out of nowhere, and at the same time you've got all of these different factions who are trying to survive and all the ambushes you can end up partaking in, and the way this game gets your heart pumping, both when you are ambushed by situations you weren't expecting, dangers that you weren't expecting, to the adrenaline rush you feel when you overcome them through smart play and through just your skills as a gunman, and all of the managing you have to do. Like, I don't know, there's just this like really, really visceral kind of immersiveness.
Doing shit like this makes you feel like John Wick. That's pretty good.
To this game, that despite the technical issues getting in the way of that immersiveness from time to time, that being there just really makes this game stand out, in my opinion. Even if I would actually also not recommend it on day one, I would also wait until the game is in a better state for you to at least like play it. But for those who are okay with a rough technical ride, but still want to experience what this particular brand of post-apocalyptic open world has to offer, it just hits a very specific itch that you want to scratch. And this game just really took me back to it was almost nostalgic to go back to kind of the good old days of these kinds of first-person shooters, and to relive that unique niche experience I had with Shadow of Chernobyl. Stalker 2 is just a modernization and evolution of that, And I'm excited to just finish the game and to mod the hell out of it when that scene becomes bigger. And I really just wanted to highlight this game to wish the developers all the best and to...
Oh, that's it. Very, 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 very young yay. Okay, got it. But in any case, looks good. Fix some bugs and we're off to the races. I mean, the races are already concluded. It's probably going to be a success. So, 10 out of 10, I like that. Anyway, that was Young.
Young,
yeah.
I'll see you guys
Young.
next time.
Anyway, bye-bye.